Hi, hello everyone. I'm Ziggy Rafiq. Welcome today to tutorial where we will be diving into the world of web development. Specifically, we'll be building a responsive and interactive web form using HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. Our agenda for today will be to basically look through the core elements of the JavaScript, HTML5, CSS3. So we'll be having a brief look through what we'll be looking at. We'll be having a quick introduction of HTML5, CSS3 JavaScript, form structures and design, responsive styling with CSS3 and JavaScript for our form validation. The basics of our HTML. First, we will explore the basics of HTML5. We'll be going through the crucial of the modern web development and taking a look at the fundamental of HTML5's structure for the form. Right, HTML5 has become the backbone of the modern web development, offering a marine of features that evaluate the way we build and experience the web. Looking at some of the key points are these. First of all, HTML5 offers the semantic structure elements such as the article tag, section, nav, and many more. These elements provide a clear and more meaningful structure to the web content, enhancing accessibility and search engine optimizations. The next feature of this is the multimedia integration. Now, with the native support for audio and video element, this simplifies the enabling of multimedia content by HTML5, so we no more rely on third-party plugins like Flash. HTML5 brings multimedia seamlessly into the web experience. Another feature of HTML5 is the responsive design. Now, HTML5 facilitates the creation of the responsive design through features like the meta view tag point, media queries. This ensures a seamless user experience across various of the devices and screen size. The form enhancement is being introduced as a new input type attribute such as the type email, type URL, and the required attribute streamlined from the validation and improves overall user interaction with the forms. Also, there's an offline web application. HTML5 enables the web development of the web application that works offline or with poor network connectivity. The application classes and web storage features contributes to the more robust user experience, improves the accessibility through semantic element as the aerial attributes and another features. HTML5 contributes to creating more accessibility website, making it clear for people with disability to navigate and understand the content. The basic structure of HTML5 form is basically we'll be looking through, which is basically now, if you look at the transition of the basic HTML5 form, as you can see here in the code example, it understands the structure crucially for building more complex and interactive forms. With the progress into our tutorial, we'll be building on. In this example, simple example, we have encapsulated our form content with the form tag element, which is basically here. We have got the element for the each field represented by the label. So the labels you can see here, username, and then we've got the input type. Input as a type text. So what we are looking through here is basically the simple code structure of a HTML5 form. Now with this, obviously we are corresponding with the field enhanced accessibility. The required attribute ensures that the user must fill the form as is a required element of the form submission to ensure the form required are fulfilled before the user clicks on the submit button. Continuing on to our journey of responsive and interactive forms using HTML5 and CSS3. We'll be going through the structure of this, as you can see, improved. Now we are looking at the core element of this. Now the core elements nowadays are moving on to it is the various elements available in HTML5. We'll be covering input types such as text, email, password, along with another essential form elements like Textarea and select. Now we lay the groundwork, the basic of HTML5. Let's dive into the diverse of the world of the form elements it offers. In segment, we'll explore various types and essential form elements that empowers developers to create dynamic and user-friendly web forms. So what we're looking at is basically the HTML5 input types. The first of all, the text input type. As you can see here, we've got the text input type. and the type where I have left it as empty with the double quote marks is the attribute where we use a single line text and is commonly used for names, addresses, and other sort information. The input type of the email type indicates the tailor for collection of email addresses. Not only ensures that the input follows a valid email format, but also triggers a specialized keyboard on mobile devices for ease of use. The password input type, again, ensures the security is actually met, and that where the password input type comes in, it masks the entry characters, providing a secure way for the user to input sensitive information. There's another element we'll be covering, which is the, as you can see here, required. The require element is there to obviously, if the input type, like let's say text, email, or password is required, then we have to input the keyword required to make it mandatory. And otherwise, we don't use the keyword required here. The text area is another element we'll be looking at. As you can see here, we have got the attribute of the text area. This basically provides it's not like a single line input type, but it's the element where it allows the user to enter multi-line text. This is perfect for like comments, message, or articles we write, or any other content that requires more, spaces. Again, here you can see we have got the rows as 4. This is telling HTML5 how many rows to add to the text area of the form. And then we've got the required, as is mandatory to be filled out example. So you can see it, then we've got the required again. If it wasn't required, then we don't use the keyword required here. Okay. There's another element of this, which is the select drop-down menu. As you can see here, we've got, code example, we've got the select element. We've got the required here, as it's been required. These are the elements which we use to obviously create the drop-down menu. Now, with that, obviously, it allows a user to choose from a predefined select of options, which you can see here, like mine. Obviously, in our code example here, we've got value general, value technical, and the value feedback. And then, obviously, I put the word technical support for the technical, as the user will see that. And then in the back end, the server will see the technical, not technical support. Okay, ensures now this is obviously where it ensures that the form structure and the code is obviously clean. It enhanced, okay, from there. So if you're looking at the actually slide code here, so you can see here in this example, we've got a simple form structure again. In this, obviously, to enhance the form structure, we have incorporated various input types and form elements. The text area allows for a long message, while the select element provides a drop-down list for us, for the user to select. And the version empowers the developer to create engaging and purpose-specific form. As we continue our journey into the remit of web development, we will obviously equip ourselves with the diverse set of the form elements. Okay, so stay with us, and as we move obviously along, we'll integrate the CSS3 styling to enhance the visual appearing. As currently, you can see if I load it up in the form, you can see it's not so fancy, it's just plain HTML5 form. However, as we move along through this training, we will start applying the CSS to it. Okay, so the CSS is now the form, which obviously is the structure of the form in the place that makes it visually appealing. With CSS3, we will discuss the selectors, styling basics, and importance of a clean, responsive design. With our form structure, okay, firmly established, in time to add a touch of visual finance. In this segment, we'll explore the art of styling with CSS, form selectors to style the basics. We'll cover the tools and techniques that transforms our functions from into a visual appealing and user-friendly. Okay, so CSS3 selectors like element selectors. Element selectors allow us to target specific HTML element, for instance, styling all the input element or all the labels with that form. The ID element selector, okay, is another element here. You can see here. It uses the ID. We apply styling to unique element. Each ID must be unique in the document, making it perfect for styling individual components. The class selector provides a way to style multiple elements that share the same class. Okay, this is very useful for styling similar form elements. Okay, the attribute selector is a selector element that enables us to style element based on their attribute. For example, styling all input field with the required attribute. Okay, So looking through the basics of this, right, we are looking at the basic styling. Okay, so using CSS3, we will be playing with colors, like setting the background color of our form, changing the font color or the text color, I'll say, experimenting with the background image if needed to visual aid, font and typography, choosing font wisely to enhance the readability, adjusting font sizes, style, and weight to create visual appealing text. Box models, understanding the box model is the foundation of the CSS3, okay? Adjusting margin, borders, padding, width can significantly impact the overall design. Flexbox and Grid explores like layered options with the Flexbox and Grid. These powerful CSS features provide flexibility and responsive way to structure our form. Okay, the importance of this is of a clean, responsive design, okay, user experience for this. So we're looking through the clean enhance of the user experience. Users are more likely to engage with a well-organized and visual appealing form. Also, the mobile responsive in the day of obviously devices now, we have obviously mobile smart devices with responsive design is crucial, ensuring form of adapting is gradually to different screen sizes, providing a consistent experience. The brand image, okay, in our form is an extension of our brand and well designed from the reflection of making it professional and attention to the detail, providing an impact to our brand image. Okay, particularly applications. Now we are looking at some of these styling principles in our form. We'll use combination of selectors styling to enhance its visual appearance. Okay, so looking through this now, you can see the form we had previously was quite dull, right? So the same form example, as you can see here, I've got in the slide 5 of the code example. In here we have got the simple HTML5 form structure, which is basically, you can see clearly we have got the input type, we've used the BR to separate the rows, and we've got the style there. And okay, I just need to remove my address from here, which I was going to show in another example of my trainings videos. So here you can see we've got a simple clean HTML5 structure. Then we've got the CSS here. As you can see, I have got we have listed the form element here with the background color. We have gave it the paddings of 20 pixels. And with this, obviously, we are applying CSS styling to our form. Remember that the visual appealing design does not only attract, but also enhance the overall user experience, okay? So this is what we are looking through, okay? So you can see from here a simple styling. I've grouped the elements of the form, input, text, and select. Okay, I've also put down the input of a type specific submit to be a background color green and the foreground color of white. So now when we're loading this, it will be a far better example than the one we have seen earlier. You can see here, it's not so fancy, not user-friendly, appealing. Whereas with this one, it is. You can see we have got the form as a drop-down and without any JavaScript currently. So because we've got in our tags here of HTML5 required, okay, this will become mandatory. So if I click on submit, it will obviously tell me to fill it out. So here I just could fill out my name, which is Ziggy Rafi. Then let's say my email address, Ziggy at, let's just say for now, dummy.com. Password could be, I don't know, let's just say password. And the message could be, this is a message from Ziggy Rafi. And so on and so on. We could just literally copy and paste this, okay, for the purpose of this demonstration. And you can see we just carry on writing the message, okay? And then we can select the category of this. And then if we submit that, see what happens. It gets submitted. Now, obviously, with this moving to this now, what it is allows us to basically make a user-friendly form experience. And that's the key element of this, okay? Moving on with this now, looking at the media queries for responsive design. That's one of the key elements here. With responsive design being a key aspect, we'll explore the use of media queries. This will help us to ensure that our form looks great on the various screen sizes and devices. Okay? As we continue to refine our form, responsive design takes the center stage. Okay? In this segment, we'll explore a critical component of responsive web development, which is media queries. These powerful tools allow us to create a seamless and visual appealing experience across various devices and screen sizes. Okay, Understanding the media query is the key aspect of this. Okay, so if we moving on to the media query side, we are looking at the conditions in CSS3 that allows us to apply style on characters of the user devices are set. Okay, so different devices we could target. This include parameters like screen sizes, width, height. Oriented could be like portrait or landscape and more. Okay, so looking through these key concepts, okay, we'll be looking at the actually breakpoint, which are specific point at which our design changes to accommodate different screen sizes. Okay, common breakpoint include those for mobile, tablets, desktop views. Okay, we'll be looking through CSS rules inside the media query. Within the media query, we can define specific CSS3 rules that apply only when certain conditions are met. This allows us to tailor our design to the characteristics of the user device. Okay, we'll be looking through the mobile first approach, as it involves designing for mobile devices first and then progressively enhancing the design for larger screens. This ensures a smooth transition between different devices. Okay, so looking through the devices of this now, what we are looking through is basically an example of this now. The same form again we have got, okay? But this time we are looking through our CSS. We are using the media query for tablets. So minimum width of 600 pixels is here. So obviously it sets the form to be maximum width of 600 pixels. And for desktops, I have said minimum width is 1024 and the maximum width is 800 pixels there. Now this implements the media query in our form, okay, to ensure that they look great on various devices. We'll define styling for different breakpoints to create a responsive and adaptive design. Okay, as we incorporate media queries into our form styling, we'll ensure that our design, okay, is gracefully adapted to the desired landscape of the device. Okay, so when we run this now, right, you will see is a difference to it. So you can see here the current one here and this one. So with this one, if we now example, let's say do this, right? So say, can the form be visually fitting on all devices? Answer is yes. Whereas with the example previously, it's not so clean, right? As you can see. Okay. Whereas with this one, it will adjust based on our settings. And this is the key element which I'm talking about as a visual experience. Also, if we using Google Chrome and if we click on inspect, there's a tool here where we could basically say, right, okay, we want to set our devices, right? So if I just minimize this for now, and you can see now here, we've got iPhone SE. Let's target this one there. And again, without the media queries, we can just target this as well. So inspect, and let's see what happens. Again, here, this is the iPhone, but then as we go along, right, through the different devices, you will see that's not very user-friendly, right, for the Surface Pro 7. Whereas with the one with the media queries, the Surface Pro 7, you can see it's more user-friendly. We could adjust it, tailor it, we could zoom into it, so making it 100%, you can see now, obviously, it's more friendly. And then here's obviously 50%, now you can see it's 100. Whereas with this one, if we put 200, you will see, again, it's not so experience-wise. You can see expanding the width. That's only one of the elements we are showing in the media query, okay? Building the form structure is very important, okay? So putting our knowledge into action, we'll walk through a step-by-step process of creating the form structure using HTML5. We will also touch on the best practice for the form layout. With a solid understanding of HTML5, let's roll up our sleeves and put our knowledge into the action. Okay? In this segment, we'll based on the step-by-step journey, creating the form structure using HTML5. Along the way, we'll also explore the best practices for the form layout to ensure a organized and user-friendly design. Okay, step one is the first thing is, okay, we will set up the HTML5 document, ensuring that we have the basic structure placed in, okay, especially the doc type for HTML, declaring HTML and the header tags and all the important body tags, where our form will obviously reside. So in this example of this, let me just close down a few of the debugging modes. What we're looking through is the 7.1 again, a basic HTML setup. You can see in this code here, we have got the simple structure here with the document doc type tag to tell the browser it's a HTML5 document, and then we have got the HTML tag with the language to be set to English GB, so that is United Kingdom English where I am, and the header tag with the meta viewpoint to tell it to be obviously responsive. We've also connected, there's a style sheet, but obviously there's none here, but I left it here for the best practice approach. We need to obviously not use inline CSS but external style sheet files. We've got our form title here, then we could obviously have a simple main tag within a section for the form, and that's where our form goes into. Okay, now this is the simple structure, okay, which we obviously remember using these semantic and accessibility elements will be applied here automatically. Okay, the another approach of this is that if we look at another example of this, which is basically the best practice for the form layout, I would say, is basically allowing us to create this. Okay, so what I'm talking about is here, we've got the form element here, and using the best practice approach here, we're creating a form that is easy to use, involving obviously paying little attention to the elements of the looks and feel to making sure that everything is valid, and grouping the related fields, so the fields are logically grouped. For instance, like the name and the email field in the approximate if it belongs to the same category. So here you can see we've got the name, then we've got input type, okay, and then we've got the name here. So this is for the name, this is label email, it's for the email, label for password is for the password, okay. And this is considered to be obviously more of for mobile users, but increases the mobile device design from the user's mind, obviously. So first thing, what I'm trying to say here is mobile first approach. So what we're using is a responsive design technique to adapt to a layout for the smaller screens. Okay. Also remember that the white space do matters, and white space is to create a clear and organized, appealing proportional spaces for the form elements to be read. Okay, and also the key element here is to consider the natural flow of information, arranging the fields in the order users are likely to provide the information. Okay, so it's no point having a, let's say, password field. So if I load this up, right, example here, right, it's no point having, if I just zoom in about 300, so you can see this now. So let's say if we had in this example, right, let's say I have cut this here, we've got the password here, right? Is that kind of a user-friendly? Answer is no, because normally we don't type in the password and then the name and then the email address, right? It always goes in the order, and the order of this is basically simple: name, email address, password, and submit. So that's the structure we'll obviously keep in mind. Okay, the workflow of this has to be consistent to the modern, so what the user can adjust to, easily filling it out. Looking through the form of the styling, okay, so with the structure in place, it's time to enhance the form appealing. We'll apply CSS3 styling to create a visual appealing and user-friendly form focused on responsive styling for a seamless experience across devices. With our form structure solidified, it's time to bring it to life visually. In this segment, we will dive into the world of CSS3 styling. Our goal is to create visual appealing and user-friendly form, okay, adapted to various devices. Okay, now applying CSS3 styling, okay, as we have looked through the previous example to our form, we leverage the combination of the selectors, properties, and values. This will help us to control everything from the colors, fonts, to the layout and spacing. Okay, so looking through this, okay, also we'll be looking through ensuring the seamless experience across devices. So what we're looking at is the responsive styling of this. A technique to adapt our form layout for different screen sizes. This ensures that whether our users are desktop, tablet, or smartphone users. Okay, so the key element here is to look at the colors of this. So if we look through the main aspect of this, so again, this is the form structure here. So if I just close this down, you can see this is again the same form of ours, and within our CSS we have got the key elements here again. For general form, we've got the background color, we've got the paddings, we've got the grouping again selected, we've got certain media devices here. So if we load this up, this will be no different from the one you have seen previously with the colors, right? But this time if I zoom out to, let's say, 100, one more time, and you can see here, right? This is our form, okay? Now this is again responsive. So if we just close down the examples, you can see here we have got it will fit on devices. It does not break at the content of this. Okay, for this, obviously, we are ensuring that all our white spaces, our alignments are centerized. Not only that, but then all of our basically padding spaces be equally aligned across. So, example, I'm trying to, we can say here. So let's just copy this for a minute. And let's just say ridiculously we've got padding here, right? But this time, let's just break this for a minute and say not input. Okay, so input will be separate. Okay, so here we're just going to say right width is 100. Okay, and let's just call this now padding. Let's put this padding ridiculously 40 pixels so we can see this. The border I'm going to say is solid 5 red. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to see this in the browser. Now you can see what happened here, right? It's target all of the inputs, but not those selected. But here, however, if I were to just say, right, if we were to do this now, type text, so we only target the text element. You can see here, we just target the text element, and that's not pretty user-friendly, is it? Whereas our email, our password now is not consistent. Okay, so we can obviously target individually, and we can target them by grouping it. So if I remove this, put it back to what it was, input, okay, and then you can see here, it goes back to what it was. So remember that the element here is we are grouping everything, centralizing. So by in the form selector, okay, we are just saying, right, okay, put our font to be applied Arial as first, and then to apply on every element of our form. So here, example I could say is, let's change this around. Okay, so we've got the font. We could say here, for example, font size is, let's say, 14 pixel. Okay, let's say our color this time is going to be black. Okay, however, what we're going to do is, right, when it hits the tablet device, what we're going to do is we're going to change the font on purpose to be 34 pixels and the color to be red. Okay, and see what happens now. So you can see here currently it fits that target, right, of that device. So you can see here, straightforward, it's already brought up the red color, right, because the minimum width is 6, the maximum width of that. Okay, now what we could do is also is at the same time we just basically say copy that, put it in here, and then we say here we're going to say 64, right, color we're going to make it blue so everyone can see what I'm talking about. Bad experience. Okay, now here, that's not so good, is it? So if we now, again, you can see this right opposite, red, blue, so it's not user friendly and it's not that healthy. Okay, so you can see from here, right, the minimum width of this. Okay, so if I change the width, let's say for mobile devices now, right, which is, let's just say, example, minimum width of this, let's just put to 300, and let's make this one now green color. Okay, so you can see, and for media queries, we're going to put down here mobile. Okay, mobile, tablet, desktop. So now you will see some difference, okay, in this. So ready, green color, and let's put the background of this color, right, to be in here. You can see the submit there, so we're going to use the same color background, and this time we're going to say, okay, background color to be that for the form. Now you can see it's not so healthy, right? But what I'm talking about here is different sizes we could target. So ideally here, what I'll do is not change the color of the font, so leave it to what it is at the root level by default. However, depending on the screen sizes, so we're going to begin with a common font, so let's say 14 pixels, okay, and then for the tablet we're going to say, right, put that to, let's say, 16, okay. For mobile we're going to put that to 12, okay. So by default we've got 14, all right. We don't even need that on the text because that's our default, so we can remove that there, right. So looking through this now, you see, right, that's not so good. So we know for mobile we need a larger size. That's more, I'll say, clear, right. And then at the same time what we'll do is, right, because we have now started to apply with the font sizes, we're going to here say that. So now it looks consistent, right? And then we could even target those, obviously, fields in our form. So like here, if I just copy this one now, right, because we've got the font size there for our mobile devices, what we're going to do is, right, we're going to say leave that to 22, and from here we're going to just say remove it. Okay, so from here we're going to say 14, okay, 14 by default, and then we control it as we need to. Okay, so you can see here we have done this. We have, obviously we don't need the width, we don't need that, we're just going to focus on the font size. Okay, so that's the only thing we want to change on our devices. Okay, then moving further to our tablet devices, what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to change the font size to be 16. Okay, so it's consistent, and then the default is there. So now here, if you look through, as we move along, it's going to be consistent all the way through. Okay, moving on with this, we're looking through now the JavaScript. Okay, with the JavaScript, what we're looking through is to mix. We'll provide a brief overview of its role in adding dynamic behavior to our form and how it connects to the HTML5 document. With our form visually styled, it's time to obviously elevate it to the next level by introducing the JavaScript. In this segment, we'll explore the role of JavaScript in adding dynamic behavior to our form. Okay, so the JavaScript role of the form is basically a virtual programming. Okay, as we know, JavaScript is a virtual programming language that runs in the browser, allowing us to add interactive and dynamic behavior to our web pages. In the content of our form, JavaScript will enable us to validate the user input, providing real-time feedback and enhance the overall experience. Okay, especially the user experience. Connecting JavaScript to HTML5 it's to incorporate into a HTML5 document. We have few options. Okay, we will include it directly within the HTML file using the script tag, or we could basically include it via the external JavaScript file. Okay, so we'll look through both, and we'll also talk about which one is the ideal best practice to use. So in the code example here, one we're showing you is a very simple, straightforward basics. In here, we've got the index file, HTML5, again the same form. Here we could obviously use inline JavaScript with our HTML5 file. Here we could write the function or the add event listener or the function to the code. Okay. In the another one, we have got the best practice approach here. You can see that we could link the JavaScript file. Linking external JavaScript file is the best practice and the recommended way forward. And then here we've got that file. And for example, if I were to put in here, let's say alert, and we're going to say, okay, just copy the inline JavaScript with HTML file. Okay, so this is what we're going to see at the alert pop-up. Okay, so if we load this one up, you will see now alert inline. Okay, and then the form just comes up, right? And then the same we'll do, but this time with the external file, and we'll just copy the basically this is the best practice for using JavaScript. Okay, that's what we're going to just copy, and what we'll do is we will just paste it in here, and if we load this now, you will see it's going to be, this is the best practice approach. Okay, in this example, the JavaScript code is placed in a separate file named scripts. This obviously modular approach keeps our code organized and makes it easy to maintain. Okay, the key JavaScript functions for the form are form validation. Okay, JavaScript allows us to validate the user input on the client side, providing immediate feedback on whether the client is obviously has met the user form requirement. Okay, real-time feedback enhances the user experience by providing real-time feedback as a user interacts with the form. For instance, validating email format or displaying the password strength. Handling form submissions. JavaScript enables us to handle form submissions, allowing us to send data to the server, update the UI, or perform other actions based on the user input. As we introduce JavaScript in our form, we'll open the doors to the possibilities of dynamic behavior. Okay, so in the next segment, we'll be deep diving into the JavaScript and implementing functions that bring a form to life. Okay, so the form validation, okay, is the robust form. Okay, we'll make the form robust with the validation. We'll use JavaScript for client-side form validation, ensuring that the user provides the necessary information. We cover common scenarios like empty field, proper email format. As we dive into the JavaScript, one of its critical role in the form development. In the client-side validation, in this segment, we'll explore how JavaScript empowers us to validate user input on the client side, ensuring the data integrated and digested is seamless and the user experience. Okay, so diving into this well of the form validation, the question comes is why client-side validation? The client-side validation allows us to check the user input on the user device before the data is sent to the server. This immediate feedback helps us correct the errors without the need for a server round trip, enhancing the overall responsive of our form. Common validation scenario. Okay, let's address some common scenarios for the form validation. Using the JavaScript, we'll focus on two essential aspects: checking for an empty field, ensuring the proper email format. These scenarios lay the foundation for creating the robust and user-friendly form. Okay, so what we're looking through is some examples of this now. So what we're looking at is now in this example, what we are going to look at is the form, how we could obviously use the on-click event of the form. Here in this JavaScript example, we have got the same form here with the HTML obviously 5 semantic on the on-click. We have got this time we have used the on-click, and we have said form validation, and then we've got the same styling what we have throughout the whole video. And then here we have got on the JavaScript, we have got the function validate form. In the validate form, we are using JavaScript client-side validation to ensure that provided the necessary information is correct. Okay, now this is where we could say, right, okay, if here we're using a regular expression for the actual field, so if the field is nil, it will alert please fill all required form fields. Okay, so if we load it up here, so if I just click on submit, you can see here please fill all required form fields. And notice in our HTML5 we have got the elements of obviously required here, right, as well applied to it. So this obviously now you see here, if I do that, submit, first thing it comes with please fill out all the form field, and then it obviously points to it. And here currently we are not applying the pattern of validating the regular expression using the JavaScript, but here as you can see by default HTML5 allows us to do that, right? So if I never had that element, we could just say now, click on it again, it will say please fill the format, but then please fill this field out, let's say that, and now obviously you can see what happens. So we need the email pattern there, right? That's the idea behind this. So ensuring the proper email format. So our next element will be the email format pattern. So here what we're looking at is now is how we could apply that. Okay, so in here you can see in the code we have got the same code again, the JavaScript code, and then we've got another element which says validate email function. Then that basically has the pattern of our email. So it will say please enter a valid email address. So if we load this example up, you will see here now if I click on it, please fill out all required fields, right, do that, let's do that, please enter the valid email address now. So you can see that, right, and now it will indicate please include the missing email address. Let's do that. You can see again it will say please fill out the email address. Okay, so you can see what we could use here, right? Moving on to our next, we are looking through the evaluation of the user experience. Okay, we will add an interactive feature using JavaScript. For example, we'll be implementing real-time feedback during form input, making the overall form interaction more engaging. As we continue our JavaScript journey, let's focus on evaluating the user experience by adding interactive features to our form. In this segment, we'll explore how JavaScript can provide real-time feedback during form input, making the overall interaction more engaging and user-friendly. Okay. Also, with this, JavaScript empowers us to go beyond the simple validation and adding interactive features that respond to the user action in real time. Okay, so we'll be looking through some of the examples. So in this example, what we're looking at now is in the code term. If I again close all of these down and looking through the example on this one, which is the real-time feedback here, we've got a simple HTML5 form. Notice this time we're not using the on-click event here. We've got the form as a form ID feedback. We've got in here, we've got the name. We put the obviously property as name here, ID. Then we've got the email, and we put down the email, and then we have got the basically div tag here with the name feedback. Okay, and then we have got the div tag for email feedback. Okay, in the CSS, we have got again the same CSS which we added throughout the whole of this video, but we have also added a CSS class feedback. Okay. In the JavaScript, we have got the code for the real-time feedback. Okay, so this is the field you can see now. We're using the add event lister, which basically allows us to now target and look at the name and the element, and then basically it will clear the feedback content. So if the element is empty, the name is required, else it will just clear the form field content. Okay, the same meaning the div tag element. Okay, in this element here, example, we're using the JavaScript to add the event lister to the name email input field as a user types of real-time feedback provided below each field. Okay, based on the input. Okay, this instant response enhances the user understanding and prevents errors before the form submission. Okay. The key point here is for the interaction features is utilizing the event lister to capture the user actions such as typing or clicking and responding dynamically. Feedback element creates the element, e.g. the div tag or the spam. So here we have got the div tag. We can also use the spam, okay, to display real-time feedback, update the content with element based on the user input. Okay. Looking through also this immediate response, real-time feedback provides a immediate response guiding the user and preventing errors before the form submission. Okay, with the JavaScript, okay, we'll add an interactive feature to our form, enhancing the user experience. In the final segment, we'll bring to, as we are bringing it together, HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript to create a seamless and fully functional form. So here you can see, right, what we are doing is, right here, I could say, let's say that, enter a valid email address. So let's just zoom in a bit, right? You can see that, right? Here, I could say that, right? Now click on it. Now it comes up with the, you're missing that, but you can see the enter the valid email address comes up straight away, right? And that's what we're talking about, the real-time feedback here. And if you look at the code here, I've got obviously the name is empty, right? Then the name is required. Okay, so here to get that generated, so what I'll say is the name is empty. Or name, okay, is let's just say equals A. So we just have this pop-up menu, okay, coming up, and the name is required. So here, say A, name is required, so you can see that. We can also go with the length. The length is obviously less than 0, then the required, obviously, as a name. Then here you can see enter a valid email address. And this is where we do real-time error messaging feedback. Now, why is this feature important is because it highlights, and before the user clicks on submit, it's obviously forces the validation of the email. Okay. And that's what we'll obviously have looked through. So in summary, wrapping it up, okay, the key point we have covered in this tutorial, okay, is I encourage you to practice and explore further to strengthen the skills, especially when we're looking through the basics of the HTML5. There's another video I am recording on the HTML5 training, which will be from the beginners to advanced level. We'll be obviously, and that will be covering all the elements, okay. But for now, we have explored the importance of using HTML5 for the modern web development. We have learned the basic HTML5 structure for the form, incorporating semantic elements and new and new input types. We have looked through CSS3 styling, applying CSS3 styling to enhance the visual appearance of the form, explore the selectors, styling basics, and importance of the clear and responsive design. There's also my second video, which is covering CSS3 training, from again from beginners to advanced, and the same is for the JavaScript. So we have for now looked at we have introduced some of the dynamic behavior and the class sign validation in JavaScript. I gave you the example of a real-time feedback and interaction features to enhance the user experience. I encourage you to continuously practice, experiment to strengthen your knowledge and skills. Okay, experiment with different type of form elements, styling, and JavaScript functionalities to expand your knowledge. Okay, and as we are wrapping up tutorial, I encourage you to continue practicing and exploring the vast world of web development. Building responsive and interactive forms is just the beginning of basically web development. And what we have achieved with HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript in this web development journey has a potential to unlock countless possibilities. Also, if you have not already, then please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on LinkedIn and on Tree Sharp Corner. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of building responsive and interactive forms. I hope you have gained valuable insights and skills that you can apply to your future web development project. Remember that the best way to learn is by doing. So happy coding, and may your web development journey evolve to be a more successful and creative. If you have any questions or need any further guidance, feel free to reach out to me, and keep building amazing things.